Getting high while doing something that you already enjoy can make that activity that much better. I used to love snowboarding when I lived in Colorado. I'd go pretty often. I've only been to a couple different places or a couple ski resorts. I think Monarch ski area and Loveland ski area, but for a while I had like a season pass at Loveland, and I would go like 2 or 3 times a week. Well, obviously, me being a stoner, I would like to be high while I did this. I would bring a ton of stuff with me. I'd bring like pre-rolls and vape pens, stuff I'm not big into now, but you know, for the convenience, I'd bring it with me because it's easy to use that stuff on the go or even while you're going down the mountain. I actually used to hear about people talk about their cartridges breaking when they'd take them up to elevation. They'd be like, be careful with your carts. It's going to crack when you go high up the mountain or something. That literally never happened to me, but I heard people talking about it like all the time. That really never happened to me, but it was talked about like it happened all the time. I don't know. If that ever happened to you, leave me a comment and let me know. I've never even seen it. But I used to bring a lot of stuff. I'd bring a little chillum. I'd bring this little ceramic water pipe that looked like a microscope. Keep it in my car. And I also had like an e-rig, right? This little old school e-rig from years ago. I'm talking like 2016, 2017. It was this little battery with like a metal dish on top and you wedge some glass over. The hits on it were okay, but this was before e-rigs got really good. Something that I would run into is like, I would go down the mountain a few times and then I'd want to go sesh again. Like every hour, I just want to go smoke again. I'd have most of the stuff in my car, like the e-rig and the water pipe. That stuff was easier to keep in the car, and I could keep like pens and like pre-rolls, a little chill. I could keep some stuff on me and hit it here and there. But you'd have to like take it all out, take your gloves off to properly pack it and stuff like that. It was getting annoying. I'd like to get high while I would snowboard, but when you're snowboarding like the whole day, I'd have to stop several times for like a smoke sesh. So I remember one time I'm like preparing to go snowboarding later in the week. I'm like, I just want to be high the whole time while I'm snowboarding. And I don't want to have to keep smoking every hour, every 90 minutes or whatever when it starts to fade. I just want to be high the whole time. So I'm like, all right, let's just get some edibles, dude. It's perfect. Let's just get a ton of edibles. We'll figure out the right dose and we'll just take that when we go snowboarding. Well, I don't really know my edible dose. I still don't, right? I can take 1,000 milligrams and it's going to hit me different every time I take it. Like there's no way. I can't really gauge it. I can think of how high I might be, but I really genuinely don't know how hard the edibles are going to hit when I take them for a lot of cases, right? Like I think I'm going to hit it just right, but sometimes it hits way harder than I intended. And honestly, this is one of those times. I took like 1,500 milligrams when I went snowboarding. I'd taken over 1,000 plenty of times, but this time I took like some RSO capsules. I went to this place I knew had, I think they were called cannabis tears, hemp tears. They had like a special brand name for them. I can't remember the brand, but I'd get like 4 capsules and it'd usually be around 1,000 milligrams. I think this one was like 1,100 milligrams of THC between 4 capsules. And then I also got like the first time, and I think one of the only times ever, but I got like an infused granola bar. I remember like thinking, okay, I want to go to the mountain, but I don't want to like eat a bunch of cookies and brownies and stuff while I'm snowboarding and being active. I want something that's a little bit easier to go down. That's why I got the capsules. But then I saw that they had these granola bars. They were like active edibles or something. It had like a weird name on it. And I swear I went back there like weeks later to get it because I was like, that was pretty good. And I'd never saw these edibles again. But I had some kind of granola, I think like some smaller stuff, like a lollipop, just a few things to enjoy here and there. I wouldn't mind getting the lollipops every now and then because sometimes you get one that was like 100 milligrams and it was like not a huge piece of hard candy or whatever. And usually they weren't too gross. Some of the lollipops or some of the hard candies just tasted awful. At least years ago when I was getting a lot of edibles in Colorado. But for this trip or for this like day of snowboarding, I remember I had like just around 1,500 milligrams of edibles. I had 4 capsules. I had that granola bar, and then I had a few other like candies here and there, just a few things that kind of made it around 1,500 milligrams. And honestly, while snowboarding, this was the highest I'd ever been while snowboarding. I'd usually get high when I went, but this was like definitely one of the highest I've ever been. I remember for a period, I was just chilling at this cafe. They have like a few spots that you can eat there. This is at Loveland ski area, but they have this place that's like at the top of the mountain. I just looked it up. It's called Ptarmigan Roost, which ptarmigan is a bird. I had to look that up too. But at like 12,000 feet elevation, they have this spot called Ptarmigan Roost. It's a little cafe. You can get like food and drinks there. I remember they have like seating there. I was just sitting there like super high looking down the mountain for like 30-40 minutes. Well, you just kind of forget what you're doing. You lose connection with the moment and you're just spaced out, like just observing. I was just like observing stuff. I'm looking around, seeing people go down. You can see like different spots in the mountain where people are. And I'm just there for like a decent amount of time. And I remember thinking to myself, what am I doing? Why am I just sitting here? I came here to snowboard. I've been sitting here for like 30 minutes and I'm just like blanking on what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I don't know. I wasn't like too high to continue snowboarding, but like, you know, you just sit down for a second and you get lost in the moment. I was curious. I'd wondered if this was the highest I'd ever been, because I was literally just like super high, chilling at 12,000 feet elevation. The only other ski area or snowboarding place I've been to was Monarch, and that's at just under 11,000 feet elevation. But then I remembered I'd been to the top of Pikes Peak, and that's like 14,000 feet elevation. So it's not technically physically the highest I've ever been, you know, without being in an airplane or something. But it's physically the second highest I've ever been. And this is like, I don't know, I was really, really high. It's hard to like go back on some of your really high excursions or adventures and go, was I higher this time than this time? I do know deep down that story I told of the highest I've ever been, that truly was the highest. But like after you've had like a handful of similar experiences, it's hard to rank them, but this is definitely like top 10, one of the highest I've ever been. When you go for like a whole day of snowboarding and you just sit in a chair for like 30, 40 minutes and you're like, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, snowboarding, dude. Let's get back to that. I think the funniest part for me is I wanted to do the edibles so that I wasn't like wasting time, right? I felt like when I was going down to my car to set up for like a sesh that I was like wasting valuable time that I could have been using going down the mountain. Like, oh, I'm missing out on 2 or 3 runs that I could have done because I had to go to my car to light up or pack the e-rig, or, you know, I had to go to the car to get high again. So it's kind of funny for me that my solution is, oh, I'm just going to take edibles and then I don't have to take the time out of my snowboarding to smoke. I'm just going to be high the whole time. And then I just get high and I sit in a chair for like almost an hour. I'm just sitting there high out of my mind, doing the thing that I was trying not to do. I'm just wasting precious snowboarding time, just sitting in a chair being baked. Snowboarding while high is really chill if you've never done it. Like, if you can do stuff while you're high. Some people literally can't do anything when they get high. So it's like, I don't recommend it. But if you're like pretty active, if you've snowboarded a lot and you smoke a lot, but you've never done the two together, first off, I don't believe you, but second off, definitely give it a try. I live in Florida now. There's no like snowboarding nearby, nothing in my future, unless I make like a plan or something for it. But I would really love to go snowboarding again. I remember being a young kid in Florida watching like Johnny Tsunami when he goes from the surf to the snow and just thinking that's gonna be me one day. Well, nobody really surfs in Florida, at least on the West Coast. And I did get a ton of snowboarding in. Now I just need to start my mountain board career like Johnny Tsunami too. That was the second one, right? He went mountain boarding. I don't know. Disney movies are great. I think Johnny Tsunami and Brink are like top tier Disney movies. What are we talking about? This video's over. Come smoke with me on Twitch. I go live after 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you never heard the story about the highest I've ever been, check out this video right here. All I can say is watch out for the rattlesnakes. Later, my dudes.